Hi, everybody. Welcome to Learn Over Lunch with Tree Fresno this Wednesday. We're very excited to have you all here today. California Relief started Learn Over Lunches a few years ago as an opportunity for the network to come together, learn from each other, and have an opportunity to discuss things that really matter in the urban forest and how we approach problems and all that good stuff. So we're really excited to have you all join us today. So before we begin, I just have a couple housekeeping items. So if you haven't already done so, if you could mute yourself unless you're presenting, that would be really helpful. And then if you haven't already done so, we ask that you rename yourself and include the organization you're with. And the way that you can do that is hovering over your picture, the box, and there's a button next to the mute button. If you click that, so 3 dots at the very bottom, you can select rename yourself and include the organization you're with. That would be very helpful. As I mentioned today, we will be recording this presentation and it will be available on California Relief's website as well as our YouTube channel. I also wanted to let you know that before I present or introduce our presenters, we will have an opportunity after the presentation for questions and answers. So you can either hold your questions till the end and then you can ask them aloud, or you can put them in the chat as we go, and then we'll address your questions after the presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our Tree Fresno, as well as our Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce friends, Mona Cummings, and we have Terry Meyers, who will be chatting with us today. And then we also have a representative from the Tree Fresno board and also participate in the program, the Workforce Development Program, Roger Brown, who's joining us. So I'm going to turn it over to Mona. Thank you. She's the Executive Director of Tree Fresno. All right, thank you.
Hi, everybody. So yes, I'm Mona, and I'm the CEO of Tree Fresno. This is Terry Meyers. He's the new coordinator of the Green Team Youth Ambassador Program, and he works for the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce. So good afternoon, everybody. Many thanks to Relief for inviting us to present on behalf of the Green Team Youth Ambassador Program today. We appreciate that you've signed up to learn more about our partnership with the Black Chamber and the creation of our sort of unique workforce development program based on the value of urban and community trees. And now this program, our program is about 2 things. It's ensuring the survival of urban and community trees and creating pathways to employment. So let me share. It's nice to have pictures. So let me get into, give me a moment here. All right. So this is here. Can you see? You can see us. Okay. So Tree Fresno and the Black Chamber of Commerce. And I'd like to first tell you a little bit about Tree Fresno. So let's see. Let's go. Okay. Our organization is a near 40-year-old urban tree nonprofit that's devoted to the expansion of the urban canopy across the central San Joaquin Valley. And we define this for our counties that we work in, our Fresno, Madera, Kings, and Tulare counties. Now, we're actually based in the city of Fresno, actually on the campus of Fresno State, on the Fresno State Farm, if you've ever been here. So we have a kind of a nice rural plot in the middle of the city of Fresno. So we were founded under an idea that is both evidence-based and practical. Our founders suggest that large canopy drought-tolerant trees are at least part of the solution to many of the Central Valley's most pressing problems. And many of you are familiar with our conditions in the Central Valley in terms of extreme heat and sun exposure, and what we would term as dirty air and poor health outcomes. So moving on, let's focus on Tree Fresno's Workforce Development Program. I'm going to give you a little bit of history about it because I think it makes a difference in how we work with community groups and where the ideas kind of emanated from. From the moment I was hired to Tree Fresno in 2019, I recognized that our organization was well known and respected in the more affluent and mostly white areas of Fresno. but that we were basically an unknown entity in other areas of Fresno, particularly the South Fresno and specifically Southwest Fresno. This reality denoted a glaring disconnect between our work, what we were charged to do, which was being driven by grant funding derived from the California climate investments. Many of the grants that we received in the past and presently are through CAL FIRE and also the Air Resources Board, California Air Resources Board. So I saw that our job was to provide meaningful benefits in the way of tree planting and related activities to the most disadvantaged communities and low-income communities and households, but we weren't actively recruiting and including critical project partners and leaders from these areas into our network quite yet. And as we all know, tree survival in many ways is dependent on how people feel about trees in their community and what they do to support and protect them. What we were doing at Tree Fresno for many years is planting trees in disadvantaged areas of Fresno, but taking volunteers from kind of the greater pool, the greater community, and bringing them to areas of Fresno that were what I would term undertreed. And often people in the communities where we were planting those trees, whether we were planting at a park or, you know, in a neighborhood, didn't know why we were there. And that to me needed to change because, you know, here we are leaving these baby trees in the neighborhood. And, you know, what better protection than the people who live there in the neighborhoods? So one day around that time, while attending Rotary, I was approached by the then president and CEO of the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce, Tara Lynn Gray, who suggested a collaboration between our two organizations. And leaping forward, we then discussed an already existing program at the Fresno Black Chamber called the Green Team Youth Ambassador Program. This particular program was focused on engaging youth ages 18 to 28 and expanding the usage of electric vehicles in Fresno. And Tara suggested that we create a new career track. So not taking away that particular track, but adding another track, something tree related, she said. So long story short, soon after, we together created the Green Team Youth Ambassador Program and what I refer to as the Urban Trees Edition. So the next year, remember 2020, well, that year was devoted to research and design of the new program. We were fortunate to have two fellows joining us from the newly formed California Climate Action Corps. They were instrumental in researching, including and making phone calls and performing interviews with those across the nation, different organizations that already had similar workforce development programs. All of them, you know, we found were unique in those ways that make our communities unique, but that we could extract some information, and usually people representing the programs were quite interested in helping us to establish our program. So, and first and foremost, we looked into American forests as they were in the process of developing materials based on the principles of tree equity. And this quote, taken directly from their website, inspired Tree Fresno's strategic vision for tree planting and the development of the Green Team Youth Ambassador Program. Trees are vital to our health and wealth, but a map of tree cover in cities is too often a map of income and race. Trees are sparse in low-income neighborhoods and some neighborhoods of color, many neighborhoods of color. Tree equity means trees where they are needed most. In fact, in the city of Fresno, South Fresno, an area which has suffered from decades of disinvestment, has reduced canopy coverage in contrast to other areas of the city. This condition, green in the north and not so green in the south, contributes to what is referred to in Fresno as a tale of two cities. It's epitomized by studies which have shown that the lifespan varies as much as 20 years between North and South Fresno. And these are because of health ailments and conditions of poor air quality. And I would say many of those benefits of trees that don't exist in South Fresno to the frequency that they exist in North Fresno. So how do we get people in South Fresno to become aware of the mission of Tree Fresno and to most importantly become homegrown cheerleaders for urban and community trees? Well, that's where the green team comes in. Tree Fresno and the Black Chamber created the Urban Trees Edition career track, which would both inform about the value of urban trees while connecting those interested to tree-related career pathways. So job creation is important to Fresno, especially throughout the not so green South areas of Fresno. The Green Team seeks to connect individuals from high needs areas of Fresno to hard to fill and well-paying employment in tree-related industries. Let's move on here. Okay, so I want to give you an idea of when we describe, sort of encapsulate the Green Team program. This program runs over 7 months, and ambassadors learn, we call them ambassadors, learn about employment opportunities existing throughout the tree industry. The program's structure consists of 12 4-hour educational sessions, along with separately scheduled outdoor work days, such as tree plantings. Guest speakers come from a variety of backgrounds and include foresters, environmental justice professionals, air quality scientists, landscape contractors, public utilities, and environmental and community leaders. The program is basically structured around these various topics: the value and benefits of trees, tree equity and environmental justice, air quality and vegetative barriers, because Tree Fresno has a specialty. We have special skills in the building of vegetative barriers, urban tree planting and volunteer engagement, community stewardship of urban trees, forest management, wildfire and conservation. This is basically derived from our many partners that are trying to reforest just above Fresno, the opportunities that we have to participate in that work, and also the important work that CAL FIRE does in the way of, wildfire protection. So urban and arboriculture and landscape architecture. And then we also infuse our program with soft skills, because many of, as you'll see, I'll explain to you briefly that our first 2 cohorts, so we're going into our 3rd cohort. Our first 2 cohorts were actually derived from anti-gun violence groups here in Fresno, mostly from Advanced Peace and Faith in the Valley. So what we ended up doing is actually had to sort of combine, which is very common in workforce development programs, when you're training a specific skill that people haven't been exposed to before, or introducing new ideas. And I can tell you with our participants, this concept of the tree on the corner that's usually located on city property or in a park, there wasn't a general knowledge of how that tree got there, what the planning that goes into that, and then who's going to take care of that tree. So we found that our participants from the very, very beginning were actually surprised that these jobs even existed. So the last 2 years, we partnered with Advanced Peace. It made recruitment, so at the beginning, because we didn't have a known program, it made it easier for us to begin with a cohort. I can say that when you just throw a program out there that people have never heard of, I think it's a little bit more difficult to recruit that first year. Now it's not difficult for us to recruit. And I'll tell you a little bit about the cohort. We had 100% African-American men from Southwest Fresno. Of that cohort, the first cohort and the second cohort, they were virtually all formerly incarcerated. The program, I figured out pretty quickly that I needed help managing the program, because my background is very different from our participants. And so we had the leadership of Advanced Peace actually go through the multi-month program that first year and graduate from the program so that they could be versed in the program while also managing the individuals that were, in essence, part of both our program and theirs. So, and Roger Brown, who is on the call, and he'll probably say a few words, actually participated in that first cohort. And he not only graduated, but he was invited as one of the newest members of Tree Fresno's board of directors. And to me, that illustrates a great success of the program. Roger, so this is one of the reasons we created this program, is that I figured that it was kind of necessary to offer the information in a way that we might be able to identify basically homegrown cheerleaders of the community. And I'd say Roger is that. So he is an influencer in Southwest Fresno. He's a known rapper. He is also formerly incarcerated, but has turned his life around. He actually runs a nonprofit that's devoted to keeping the kids off the street and out of gangs. And now when he's talking about trees, people listen. And I'll give you an example, is that we could put a posting on Tree Fresno out on Instagram, and I'll get 12 likes, and I'll be happy with that. And I wish it was more. But when Roger puts it out, especially if he's making a statement about it, he'll get 212 likes. So for us, we feel that it's actually we're penetrating a market that we didn't in the past have, and we've benefited for that over the last couple of years. So and then the second cohort, which we finished in April, May, we had one female, all African American through the program, but we ended up having two participants from the Black Chamber. And interesting, and I'll just say from my perspective, so anti-gun violence groups based in Southwest Fresno, or working with a population in Southwest Fresno, it's not the same population as people who support the Fresno Black Chamber. You might have a little bit of crossover, but what you're looking at is, frankly, exceptionally talented African-American individuals that are coming together for the support of small business in Fresno, large business in Fresno. So all of that to say, in this next phase, our next cohort, on cohort number 3, we decided, so that we could have greater success with our graduates going into these fields, that we would put more of the ownership of the program in the Black Chamber. And that's where Terry comes in. So Terry Meyers, sitting next to me, what's different about this cohort, all classes will be held at the Black Chamber instead of a different site. I'll continue to support the program, but he is going to be the face of the program. And they're going to, when I met with the leadership, currently Dr. Cassandra Little has actually been in a leadership position as president and CEO of the Black Chamber. Instantly, we talked about the value system of the Black Chamber, which needed to be infused into that curriculum. And I'd like Terry to talk, just for a couple of minutes about that, so that you can get an idea of what we're gonna see this year in the third cohort of the Green Team.
Hello, everybody. Yes, thank you, Mona. Yes, this cohort is gonna be a little different than the past, and the reason why it's gonna be a little different from the past is that we're gonna incorporate a book, Who Owned the Ice House, and this book deals with 8 lessons. How man, which they call Uncle Cleve in the book, how he took his mindset and created all these different business through the 8 lessons that he utilized to get him through. And the 8 lessons is choice, opportunity, action, knowledge, wealth, brand, community, and persistence. And at the same time, the cohort gonna also introduce these youth more into about Tree Fresno, about the importance of the trees, the environment, and etc. And the beauty of it, that is going to be held at the Black Chambers, and so we can have incorporate other little things, why we having class and talking about trees and everything. Then we also, get them outside the box, let them get a better understanding of how important trees is and about our environment and stuff. And I think that's the beauty of all this is that we able to grab these youths and bring them here and give them something that they ain't used to. And I thank Mona and Tree Fresno for hooking up with the Fresno Metro Black Chamber and to give these youth the opportunity to get outside the box and see the importance of how it is about planting trees and about the environment, and that it's a pathway to work, to jobs, you know what I'm saying, for their survival, their living, to keep them out of trouble, you know what I'm saying, to take them away from the city or whatever it is, so it's a lot of things that we're going to incorporate that has not been incorporated in the last two cohorts.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Terry. And I want to mention that Terry had informed me because he's spearheading the recruitment. So a lot of that is in person. You've already visited a couple of churches.
I've been visit a couple of churches. Art Hop. I went to Fresno City College. I went to Fresno State. So I'm trying to get a mixture of people, you know what I'm saying, not one dimensional, but and bring them, that way they can all interact with each other and understand individuals from different backgrounds, different areas and stuff, So it's a combination of all that, for their growth, so they can get a better understanding of life and how life really is, you know what I'm saying, and get them outside that box, but at the same time, let them know the importance about trees and the environment.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. And just briefly, we had 9 graduates the first year, 14 the next. We usually start out with more participants in the program because it is a multi-month program. And then we expect some level of attrition, and then we'll yield. Hopefully this year we'll have 15 graduates.
And Mona, I would like to elaborate on some things that you were saying. So the difference between the first cohort, second cohort, that's going to be different with the third cohort. Like she said, we had she had to start off with just trying to go with a group that already had, that was trying to get that. I worked for Advanced Peace, which was the gun violence reduction program. So as me working there, we were trying to find different things to social emotional development. And Mona had the best plan with just changing their environment, something that we was really big on as far as expanding the thought process and things of a lot of these guys, like you said, were formerly incarcerated. So we would try to go get the worst of the worst youth that were out there and try to change their lives, and for the better. And with us doing that, Tree Fresno program was just so good as far as turning into the youth ambassador. Them just graduated and being proud that they actually got to accomplish things was a big point. Them actually coming back thinking that a classroom setting wasn't for them. They never wanted to be in a classroom setting, but she would bring the key to it was to bring good speakers that they could not only relate to, but make them feel like, it was actually fun. It was actually something like, just educating them on things that were per se that they never heard of, but they seen before. Like they never actually got educated on, but they like it was like trees. Like, okay, like half of us in the building had asthma from just living in the Southwest and living around bad air. And it was just like, well, do you guys know that you live around this many what was the word that she used? Like the diesels only come down the freeway, this certain freeway, but not the other freeways. And everybody was like, wait, what? And she caught their attention with those things. And then the guest speaker would come right behind it and give the actual facts of it. And that was a big part that played in it. But the hard part of it was keeping them focused. So her actually giving them the outside activities, which was going to a forest camp or to like a hiking trail to go look at things and changing their environment. Some of them never even seen a river before, some of them never even seen a tree go that high before, those were the things that set with them for a long ways to when they leave the Tree Fresno program, it was like, man, I never knew that if you step in the river, it'll take your leg away. Like, it was just like the current was just crazy, man. I didn't even know this was out here, because some of them don't even lead off the southwest side of Fresno. So it was just getting them outside the box and making them think a lot. But with things like that, it's hard to get them to be consistent and go on to the next level after they graduate. It was more so like, oh my gosh, I graduated. So sometimes it'll stop there. So you might have 3 out of 10 that just want to go further and further, rather than the next cohort that we will have with people that already have that ambition, that already wants that. So now we don't have to just go collab with another organization just to get them in, because like she says, when she first started, it was just like, okay, I need to just collab with someone that already have the kids that want to come in, that's eager to just want these things. And now we can collab with Black Chambers, who also have a great following of just youth that want to learn, that want to do more and want to go further in just life, just want it as a career. So I think it's just going to get better and better from here on out, just as me watching from the first cohort.
Thank you, Roger. All right. And I think our presentation is finished, and we're happy to take any Q&A if this is the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, before we end the recording though, I want to ask Mona, is there a specific website that folks, if they're interested to learn more about this program, both on Tree Fresno and maybe the Black Chambers website, folks should check out before we end the recording?
Yes, definitely. If you can see this that I've shared, so the Black Chamber website, you can see down at the bottom, it's actually features, the application is featured on the website with information about the program. So that is the best way. We have a little information on the treefresno.org website as well, but this is really the main avenue to application. We've been told we have about 25 applications. It's only been up for about a week. So we're really excited to see who may apply. You can see we target zip codes in Southwest Fresno, but we encourage everybody to apply. These are kinds of the questions that I'll receive at Tree Fresno. For instance, I had inquiry from Madera, but I talked to Terry, and we've talked about the importance of mixing up the cohort this time so that they can learn, from each other. So we'll see who applies, and then we'll choose, perhaps 20 to start the program, expecting 15 of them to graduate.